Hey everyone, I'm David.
And I'm Ro.
And as many of you know, we love full-time RVing, but we like to give you guys an honest depiction of what the full-time RV lifestyle is like.
That's why we always share everything that goes wrong. If we're stuck in mud or something breaks, like our oven falling out.
And yeah, all the little mistakes that we make so that you guys can learn from us. You know, but we don't want to romanticize the full-time RV lifestyle too much and give an unrealistic depiction of what it's like. And because of that, we know that for a variety of reasons, there are types of people that, in our opinion, would not enjoy the full-time RV lifestyle. And so we're making this video to point out some of the negative things that would make some people want to completely avoid full-time RVing. Now, before you go into the comments and be like, oh, David and Ro hate full-time RVing, they're gonna stop RVing and get off the road, you know, just know that's not the case at all. We love full-time RVing, but we gotta be honest.
A major reason that we're making this video is because we received a comment on one of our videos just a couple of weeks ago from someone who, during the massive RV boom in 2020, bought an RV like everybody else, and they've determined that they hate it, and now they can't seem to sell it. So we're hoping that this video can reach some people before they ever buy an RV, and then this can give them some good insights as to whether or not it's right for them.
It's no secret that RVs aren't really built to high quality standards. So if it stresses you out having things, you know, breaking around you and having to repair things, and if you're not very handy, having to take your home into an RV dealer to have things repaired routinely, then you might want to think against full-time RVing. And, you know, we've made a ton of videos on all of the failures we've had in our RV. You know, just recently, our entire stove just fell off of the counter while we were traveling down the road. Thankfully, that's something we're able to fix by ourselves. You know, if we had to take our home into an RV dealer every time something broke to have it repaired, oh man, that would just be a major headache, and it would have cost us a lot of money. But thankfully, we repaired just about everything ourselves. And there is some pretty popular quotes in the RVing community, and one of them is that if you want a hobby, buy an RV, because your hobby is now RV repair. And also that an RV is a hole in the ground in which you throw money into.
Something that might be just too frustrating for someone to handle when it comes to full-time RVing is if someone needs to have a strict schedule or they can't go with the flow of things going wrong. And I'm standing in front of our calendar to give you a good example of that. It's probably kind of hard for you to see, but what is on here are only a couple of things. Days that we're filming and what we're filming those days and when those videos go live. As you can see, from about here down, we don't have anything else scheduled at all for the rest of the month, because we know for a fact that things could go wrong that would keep us from being able to leave on the day that we want to. So we can't really get our hopes up for exactly what day we want to leave. We might have to leave a little sooner or a little later because of things like the weather, or if something is going wrong. And let's say there's a hike we want to go to, but it's closed down because there's been a mudslide or part of the trail has been disintegrated and they're doing repairs on that. And so we need to now pick a different trail we want to go on before we leave the area. Those are all little things that can go wrong. And this is something that I personally learned very early on in our travels, because I was someone that needed a strict schedule and I couldn't go with the flow. And it was so incredibly stressful having to cancel things all the time because of weather or trails being closed that I thought were open. And luckily now we have very much learned to go with the flow, probably more than some people might even think is necessary, but that's totally fine with us because we love this lifestyle and going with the flow makes it just that much more enjoyable.
Another type of person that's going to want to avoid full-time RVing is the one that really doesn't want to have to deal with what we'll call dirty jobs. You know, every RV has a black tank in it, and when you use the toilet, that's what stores all of the human excrement. And you know, you have to dump your RV's black and gray tank routinely, fairly often, and they don't call the RV dump hose a stinky slinky for nothing. You know, when every time you dump the gray tank, or the gray tank and the black tank, it reeks. And, you know, you might spill some where you don't want it to get. There's always the chance that you get a little on you. And, you know, the black tank has to be maintained as well. And if a black tank is not properly maintained, there could be things like poop pyramids that form, and you could have a clog in your black tank system. There could be leaks in all of the various hoses. And, you know, we've even heard of black tanks rupturing, cracking, and then, you know, spilling that contents all over the place. And these are all, you know, very gross things. And even if you do what we did and you get a composting toilet so that you don't have to deal with all the black tank stuff, you still have a lot of dirty jobs because this composting toilet has to be cleaned fairly routinely, and its contents have to be dumped by hand. So whether you have a composting toilet or a flush toilet and a black tank, you're still gonna have to deal with dirty jobs very often.
If you're a clean freak, you may want to reconsider full-time RVing because, for the most part, living in a very small space like this and being a full-timer means that you're going to be spending a lot of time outside. And if you're spending a lot of time outside, you're probably going to be tracking in dirt pretty often. And we sweep multiple times a day, and we clean the countertops off multiple times a day. And it's because living in such a small space, things get dirty fast. And I don't think that there has been a single day since we hit the road that we haven't had to, like, we call it tidy up. And we haven't had to tidy up the counters at all, because you just have to put, like, we have literally just like this countertop and the one I'm leaning on right behind me. And if we just leave like one thing out, it looks messy because that thing doesn't belong there and now it's taking up countertop space, which we have very little of. So if you are someone that is like even a little OCD, I'm a little OCD too, and it can be frustrating with how quickly it gets messy and how quickly it gets dirty in here. And if it's something that you're not willing to deal with, it could be a massive headache for you.
If you're gonna find yourself in very cold, wintry areas during the winter months, then I advise that you don't full-time RV. I mean, look where we're at. We are in Arizona. It is so warm, so nice here. You know, we are snowbirds. We avoid the cold areas because our travel trailer just can't handle it. And we found that out for the first time when we were back home in Fort Wayne, Indiana for 4 months visiting my parents during the holidays. And, you know, those 4 months were pretty rough. And, you know, condensation was just so hard to deal with, despite the fact that we even had a large dehumidifier inside of our RV. You know, we still had black mold growing in areas because they were just, in parts of our travel trailer, it was just always wet with condensation. We had electronic parts fail because condensation formed on the circuit boards and just totally ruined the circuit boards. And, you know, it's just not something that we ever want to deal with again. We are gonna be snowbirds for ever, basically. And I know a lot of you are gonna say, whoa, pump the brakes, David. We winter all the time in our travel trailer, our fifth wheel, our RV, and we have no problem with it. And yes, I know that some people have figured out how to do it. And some people, you know, I know they make like 4-season models of RVs that are made to handle winter months better. But I will still say that wintering in an RV is a pain. It just is. And if you're up for that, then good. But just know that it's something that I would recommend completely avoiding. And if you're going to be an RVer, it's best to snowbird down to Southern California, into Arizona. And if you know that you're going to have to be in cold areas during the winter months, it might actually be a better idea to maybe buy a small home, you know, something that is a little more permanent structure that's going to be easier to winter in instead of trying to do that in an RV.
And we're back in the bathroom because this is the smallest room in our RV. Actually, it's the only other room in our RV that has a door that can close. And something David and I don't struggle with, but we have heard so many stories about people that are struggling with this, is not being able to find space away from the person you're traveling with. And that includes bathroom time. And if you're someone that can't handle someone knowing you're in the bathroom or knowing you're on the toilet or being able to hear you go, then living in a small space like an RV is probably not gonna fly with you, because nothing really goes unnoticed even when the door is closed. Whoever you're traveling with is gonna know what you're doing in there. And even if that isn't something that bothers you, if you need your own personal space away from someone, and let's say you have a big massive RV that you can go into another room, if they start talking or watching TV in that room and you're just wanting quiet time, that could get frustrating. It may not seem like you're quite separate, unlike in a house where someone could just like have their own literal room that they can go into, and like the walls are thicker so you can't hear them in there. They can just have their own space. But especially in our little RV, basically the only way that David and I can get away from each other is for someone to go outside. That's it. I can't get away from David by hanging out in the bathroom. I can't get away from David by pulling the curtain in the bedroom. I can't get away, and neither can he. So if you're someone that really, really values that personal time and your personal space, might be something that's too frustrating for you.
The next type of person that might not want to get into full-time RVing is the type of person that doesn't want to have to deal with monitoring your electrical consumption. And this goes for all RVers, not just ones with solar like us. You know, if you're staying at an RV park with electrical hookups, the vast majority of RVs are either going to be 30 amp or 50 amp hookup. There are some 15/20 amps. And in all of those situations, you're not going to be able to use all of your electrical appliances at the same time without having issues. For instance, our travel trailer is a 30 amp, has a 30 amp hookup, and so we cannot, even when we're hooked up to electrical, we cannot run our air conditioner and microwave and refrigerator at the same time. We will trip the breaker if we do that. And so if it's a hot day, we've got the refrigerator running, but we want to use the microwave, we either have to turn the fridge off or we have to turn the air conditioner off. And, you know, that goes for so many other things. You know, we almost always have a laptop running, and, you know, sometimes we would want to flip on our water heater, which is another really high draw appliance. And so when you're in an RV, you just cannot run all of the electronics at the same time like you can in a house. And then it goes without saying that if you're boondocking and relying off of solar like we do, then electrical monitoring just becomes all-encompassing. It's an everyday thing that you need to check. Okay, how much battery, what are our batteries at charge-wise? You know, how much are we bringing in with the solar? How much are we using? You know, you have to have a battery monitor kit, and you got to keep a good eye on it constantly to make sure that, you know, you're still charging and you're not going to kill your batteries. Thankfully for me, this is something that I find incredibly interesting, and I actually enjoy monitoring our electrical consumption. I don't know why. I think it's probably just because I think solar is such cool and elegant technology, and just making use of it just feels good to me. But yeah, if you're not someone that cares about that or wants to mess around with being like, oh, okay, I have to turn the fridge off, blah, 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 then full timing might not be for you.
And we're back in the bathroom. I don't really know why so many things have to revolve around using the bathroom. But this next one is also something that really has to do with how willing you are to monitor usage in an area. And this one is all about water usage. And the reason is because even if David and I wanted to full-time RV with full hookups at an RV park, we still would not be able to take full-length showers. We only have a 6-gallon water heater, which means that no matter what type of hookups we have, we still only have 6 gallons of hot water. And while monitoring your water, if you have full hookups, especially water hookups and sewer hookups, is not a problem for things like brushing your teeth or running the water while you're doing dishes and just letting that run constantly. It is a major issue if you plan on doing any kind of boondocking or dry camping, because if I let this water run just while I'm brushing my teeth, which is what I did in our house. David and I both did this. The sink would run constantly while I was doing dishes, and the sink would just stay on when I was brushing my teeth. We had to learn very quickly, and we're pretty strict on it, that you only run the water if you need the water to be running, because running out of water in the middle of nowhere like we are right now is a massive pain to have to drive all the way into town. And like I said, if you have full hookups, you're still going to have to do those like military type showers where you're just in, you have to turn your water off when you're not using it, lather up, and turn it back on. You don't get to take those nice, long, hot luxury showers, which, boy, did I take those for granted when we were home for the holidays, because I'm really missing nice, long, hot showers. Butters is checking on me because the shower is the devil in her mind, and she always has to save you from it. So she's wondering why I'm in here. I'm fine. I'm fine. I am. Now, we weren't comfortable with most of these things when we first hit the road, and we had to learn through mistakes and lessons on the road, but thankfully, we still absolutely love this lifestyle. But this video is not about whether or not we love full-time RVing. It's to tell you guys about the nitty-gritty of full-time RVing so that you can make an educated decision for yourself on whether or not it's going to be something that is right for you, because we would hate to hear a comment from any of you guys that was the same as when we got just a couple weeks ago about someone who thought they would love it, bought an RV, and they hate it.
Yeah, so we hope this video was helpful to those of you who are entertaining the thought of full-time RVing. But that's all for us. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye. Sweet Pea, you want to say bye?
She loves it. She still loves it.